Welcome back to the Purple Pod, the fastest growing K-State podcast out there. I'm Stevie B.
I'm Kenny G.
And in today's episode, we're going to be talking K-State's season opener versus UT Martin. Kenny, how we doing, man?
Doing good. This is the fastest growing K-State podcast that I'm aware of.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're excited to talk some K-State football. We're going to be breaking down the game, breaking down the depth chart, giving our weekend picks as well. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and tell your friends. We're getting closer to 300 subscribers, so please make sure you guys sub the channel. So let's get right into this, man. K-State is favored by 37.5 points. But before we get into that, K-State released their official depth chart for the first game. And Kenny, there's a few things that surprised me. Is there anything that really stood out to you when looking at this depth chart?
Well, I'm going to leave one to you because I know
Okay.
there's one very specific that you want to get into. But honestly, as far as the offense goes, not anything really particular. I do like seeing Sterling Lockett coming in as a backup to Jace Brown. That's pretty cool. I know that we kind of highlighted him in the last one. But I really hope that he gets a lot of reps. I mean, you're talking Lockett. You can't expect anything but good things usually from that family. So cool to see that. And I mean, we've already touched on this a little bit in the last episode. Guys, if you haven't seen the last episode, please go watch it. It's a really good episode. Kind of reintroduces the whole entire Purple Pod season 2. This is episode 2, season 2, episode 2. But we can't really change the fact that Jake Clifton is not going to be here this season. And that is a huge loss for the K-State defense. Can't emphasize that enough. I mean, he was getting so much praise over the last 2 years from the coaching staff, and we see why. I mean, he was an absolute beast. But things in his life changed, and now he's on a whole nother journey for that. And but I mean, he will be missed. I mean, he did help us get a Big 12 championship, so that I can't get too mad at him for that. But good luck to him. But other than that, nothing too surprising on the offensive side. On the defensive side, I'll leave that to you.
So there was a few things that stood out to me. You touched on a little bit there. I want to touch on one other thing on offense before we get into defense. I find it interesting here that Dylan Edwards is an or between him and James White. I feel like part of that, though, is the fact that White has been here for a little bit, and they want to make sure that Dylan Edwards keeps working hard.
I think they're putting that in there as like a check on him. But I honestly believe Dylan Edwards is going to be the guy. I mean,
for sure. I mean, behind DJ Giddens, he's a different running back. He's going to be more of a receiving running back. Jet sweeps, regular sweeps. He'll run up the middle too, of course.
Kind of like your homeboy from the Niners kind of aspect of running back.
Who's that? CMC?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I see more Reggie Bush in my opinion.
Really? Okay.
But you asked me about the defense, and there's two things on the defense that stood out to me.
Yep.
One, the fact that we have 3 defensive end spots, which is not typical. It's usually DN, and either 1 D lineman or 2 D linemen. K-State runs a 3-3-5, but we knew that they were going to be running some 4 down D linemen, and it looks like they're going to do a jet package of 3 DNs and 1 D tackle. So that's interesting. But the biggest thing that I saw, and actually you saw it before I did, look at this D lineman. Who is the first string D lineman right here? Who is that?
It's definitely not number 99.
It's not Uso, and there's no or between Damian Ilalio and him. We really thought that Uso would be the starting D tackle, and he's going to play a lot, obviously. But it's interesting that there's no or between them. So that tells you that Damian has really, put himself in position to be the starter.
Well, and here's the thing. I am leaving room for the fact that there was an injury that happened last year to Uso, and I don't know if that's really affecting like his position, or I guess his like status of being a starter or not. I don't know if they're maybe just kind of maybe nursing that injury a little bit, making sure that they keep him healthy all season long. And so instead, they're bringing in Damian, who is probably ready to roll. I mean, he's ready to rock and has obviously put in the time and the effort in the offseason, because you don't just get you don't get the starting position at K-State just by default. I mean, you got to earn it. So the fact that he's worked his way to the starting position, I'm excited to see that. But I also, you and I both know Uso is going to be in there. He's going to be playing. It's a senior year. So yeah, you gotta love that dance. I mean, it's amazing. It's epic. So,
It is.
but yeah, Cody Stufflebeam, glad to see him starting. He did that amazing stuff to cause a fumble in that one game. I can't remember what game it was, but he made some things happen in the backfield of the opposing team's offense, and
we knew
just
that
another.
Brendan Mott was going to start too. We knew that. I mean, come on now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, like I said, there's not too many things that are surprising. The Uso thing is surprising. However, it's not. I'm thinking it's more because of the injury, and I could be wrong about that. I'm not 100% sure, but and it also could be maybe Uso has been taking a little bit of a back seat in his senior year. It's hard to know. It's hard to know for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be a fall camp. Like, hey, let's try to motivate this guy.
Yeah.
Other thing I noticed, which is interesting, is that Asa Newsom is now the backup at Sam linebacker. A year ago, he was a backup at Will linebacker. I'm wondering if they are going to have him be like that Jake Clifton role where he plays all three. I mean, he's a super athletic guy. He ended up getting a red shirt last year, so he's only a freshman. But I mean, I don't really like a freshman like him backing up Desmond Purnell. I'd like to see him at some point start either this year or next year. But he's going to play a lot because the backups usually play a lot. I did think Bo Palmer would be the starting middle linebacker, but they really like what they have in Austin Romaine. He is the starter right now at middle linebacker. And then, of course, your guy, Austin the Machine, is the starter at will linebacker. Hopefully he's watching, right? Hopefully
he's watching. Yeah, dude, Austin Romaine, he actually really did make a name for himself as we were in trouble last year in our linebacker position. I mean, right off the bat, we lost
Daniel Green.
We lost him right off the bat, and it kind of put us in a tailspin. But we did have Jake Clifton come in, but we saw guys like Austin Romaine come in. Asa Newsom got hurt, so we didn't really get to see much of him either. It was tricky, but Des Purnell really stepped up, and Austin Moore is literally like the most consistent on the team. And so he's actually, I'm looking to him more so as the defensive leader. I think he's the captain, right?
He is a captain. Yes, he is.
He has to be the captain. I mean, the guy has just been such a rock for our defense. And so I'm hoping that Asa Newsom does get some playing time. And I do agree with what you're saying in terms of how they're going to use him the way that they use Jake Clifton, because Asa Newsom being behind Des Purnell, I mean, you're not going to get too much playing time behind Des Purnell. I mean, the guy is an absolute animal. He's so good. I think, but potentially they'll put Asa Newsom, depending on how healthy he is, and if he stays with K-State, he might end up being Austin Moore's or whatever. What do you call that? Predecessor? The next one up. Yeah. So that's my takes on that. But did you said there was one other one that was shocking to you, or is that the one?
I think that was the other one. I actually do feel pretty good about the secondary. I mean, at least the starters. I mean, you got Jacob Parrish, you got Keenan Garber, and then you got VJ Payne, who's basically a 3-year starter at this point. Marquise Siegel, he actually played a lot better than a lot of people think last year. I mean, he was basically that third corner. He was all over a lot of people. I went back and I rewatched the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Man, that was fun. I mean, he was all over that Conception guy. The other guy just made a ton of sick catches. But he's covering people. He just needs to learn to catch. So hopefully he did that over the offseason. And Jordan Riley, I mean, he's a pretty big pickup in the transfer portal. So I feel pretty good about the starters. I have some questions still about the backups because K-State does play a lot of backups. So I'm a little worried there, but overall, I feel pretty good. There is one other thing on offense that I did want to touch on really quickly.
Okay.
And that is the fact that there's an or between Taylor Potier and Andrew Linegang. Potier has been playing on the O-line for years now, but that just tells you how good of a camp Andrew Linegang has been playing. I mean, we've been hearing about him for years, and it looks like he's going to be playing a lot this year at any of the guard positions or center, maybe even tackle, man. Like he's pretty versatile, 6'6", 306 pounds. I feel like that's pretty good. So
yeah, I mean, K-State's always done a really great job with their recruiting of their linemen. That's something we've already touched on in the previous episode, where we haven't really been we have never really fallen short
nope.
of having good recruit members on that line. I mean, they call it the beef, beef for a reason.
So I'm going to go over to starters really quickly for anyone that's listening to us in the car or at work or whatever. So at receiver, there's Keegan Johnson. That's no surprise, being backed up by Jaden Jackson or Ty Bowman. At tight end, we have Garrett Oakley. That's no surprise there either. They've been talking a lot about his backup, though, Braden Lofton, 6'5", 237. Both of those guys are sophomores at tight end. Left tackle, Eason Kilty. That's a transfer from, I think it's South Dakota. 6'6", 307, being backed up by John Pastore. Left guard, Hadley Panzer has been a starter for years now. He was on a 2022 Big 12 championship team. He's being backed up by Linegang, who's backing up basically both guard spots. At center, Sam Hecht, there's no surprise there, being backed up by Michael Capria. We already touched on the right guard of Taylor Potier and Linegang. Then at right tackle, we saw Carver Willis really, start playing really good football at the end of the season last year, really in the middle to latter part.
Did you just say Willie good football?
Willie good football. Really good football by Carver Willis. He's a senior. I'm excited to see what he does this year at right tackle, being backed up by Drake Beckwith. With the other tight end spot, we have Will Swanson being backed up by freshman Will Anso and Andrew Metzger. Quarterback, I mean, obviously it's Avery Johnson there, backed up by both Tyquan Roberson and Jacob Knuth. Running back is your guy, the guy with a football and a tackle box and a fishing rod, DJ Giddens. He's going to get 1,000. He's going to get 1,000 yards again this year, being backed up by Joe Jackson. Other running back spot is Dylan Edwards and LaJames White. We're pretty excited about that. We got Jace Brown at the other receiving spot, being backed up by Sterling Lockett, another one of those Lockett brothers, kids, all of that whole family. It's a huge family of Locketts. And then at the other receiver spot, we have Dante Cephas, the transfer from Penn State, being backed up by Trey Spivey. I'm pretty excited about Trey Spivey, man. He's a freshman, should be a sophomore, but they got that red shirt for him last year. 6'4", 217. I think he's got a pretty high ceiling as well. At defense, we have Brendan Mott, no surprise there, being backed up by Toby Osunsanmi. D-line, we touched on that. Damien Ela Leo being backed up by Uso. DN spots, there's two more. We got Travis Bates or Chidi Obiizer. And then in the other spot, we have Cody Stufflebean and Jordan Allen. Linebackers, we have Desmond Purnell being backed up by Asen Newsome. Middle linebacker, Austin Romaine. Backups, Bo Palmer and Terry Kirksey. Terry Kirksey's that transfer from Hutch JUCO from a year ago. And at will linebacker, we have Austin Moore being backed up by Rex Van Wyn and Zach Wittenberg. At corner, we have Jacob Parrish being backed up by Justice James. And at the other corner, we have Keenan Garber being backed up by Jordan Dunbar and Donovan McIntosh. Safeties, we have VJ Payne being backed up by Colby McAllister, who played a lot last year, or Wesley Fair, the redshirt freshman. At the jack safety, we have Jordan Riley being backed up by Jack Fabris. And at the free safety spot, we have Marquis Siegel being backed up by Nikendre Steiger or Daniel Cobbs. We haven't even touched on the special teams yet, but special teams, Chris Tennant is back as kicker. Holder is Simon McClannon. The snapper is Mason Olguin. The punter is Simon McClannon, so he's also the holder and also the punter. Kickoff specialist is Chris Tennant. Kick return is Dylan Edwards or Jace Brown or Keegan Johnson. I think they're going to try to use all three of them in the first game. And then the punt returner is either Dylan Edwards or Sterling Lockett. I feel pretty good about the return game. I really feel.
You can breathe now, Steve. You can breathe now. That was a lot.
I mean, if anyone's listening, I wanted to go over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's good because not everybody just like goes on and reads this kind of stuff. But
yeah,
I will say that the other thing, I guess I totally forgot about special teams. It was cool to see that Dylan Edwards is going to be the starting returner. And it makes sense. It makes sense that he would be the returner versus Giddens or any other person that we have in that, because again, I still believe that Giddens is going to be our workhorse for the run game, and then Edwards is going to be our sort of flashy flash pan guy. So
it's Lindell White and Reggie Bush, a la USC 2004, 2003, something like that.
Yeah,
so I feel pretty good.
No, that's really good. That's really good. Yeah, and it's in terms of those Lockets, man. Well, I mean, we'll take all the Lockets we can.
Absolutely.
Keep sending them our way. But yeah, man, I mean, it's as of right now, I'm looking at the countdown, 3 days and 23 hours until the game. First
basically
game of the season.
Days. Yes, sir.
Basically 4 days.
As we are recording this on Tuesday night, August 27th. So let's get into the breakdown of K-State versus UT Martin. We talked about the depth chart ad nauseum. Now it's time to break down the game. K-State is 37.5 point favorites. Let's take a look at some stats.
Wait, hold on. Say that one more time.
37.5 point favorite. And we're going to get into our picks after that, of course. Okay.
I mean, no offense to UT Martin, but do you even want to show up for this game?
They do, and I'll tell you why. Because they are the 3-time OVC champions in their league, man. They've won it 3 straight years. When you go to their website, I mean, there's a guy there holding all 3 rings. You know what I mean? But as we break down, these are numbers from last year. Obviously, both teams have had players leave. As you can see, the ones that are highlighted are where the other team goes against the other in terms of who's better. But obviously, they're playing FCS teams. K-State played a top 5 most difficult schedule last year. The darker ones are the ones that are at least a 50 spot difference. Again, but UT Martin's numbers are against other.
I see what you're saying in terms of like how bold it is.
Yes.
I got you.
So K-State's got the advantage on offense. It looks like UT Martin would have the advantage on their offense, and then K-State's better on third down and in the red zone. That turnover margin, though, that is the biggest difference in my opinion. They were -8 last year. K-State was +11. K-State's going to get a lot of turnovers in this game, man. And even though it looks like UT Martin really likes to run the ball and stop the run, they're not stopping DJ Giddens, man. They are not stopping DJ Giddens.
No.
And K-State's definitely going to shut down their run game. They got a new running back this year. But I did want to talk, we have to break down the other team. It's just part of it. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that they have their quarterback back. They have, let me pull this up here really quick. Yeah, the quarterback back who passed for, I think it's 2,300 yards. Yes, his name is Kinked Dent. I'm not even kidding. Kinked Dent. 2,300 yards last year, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 351 rushing yards, and 3 touchdowns. He was second team all-conference. Formerly at Ole Miss, he did have 2 300-yard passing games last year and 6 200-yard passing games. They did go 3-3 on the road last year, but could have easily gone 1-5 because they won 2 overtime games, including one against a really, really bad team. They do have their leading receiver back from last year, Devontae Tanksley, who caught 54 passes for 698 yards and 4 touchdowns. Having said all that, I still think K-State's going to whoop that butt.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not even going to be close.
We just went over the depth chart, and I just think pound for pound, this is going to be more like K-State scrimmaging a middle school team from the 3A, division of Kansas schools. I mean, we have the size, we've got the talent, and now it's a matter of just putting it all together, and we're going to be at home. So
Yes, sir.
a lot of things are going our way here, and we have to understand this is the first game of the season, and it's always going to be against a team that is not as talented, or the depth of talent isn't going to be as much as what we're used to in a regular season, but we still got to go out there and play the game, and I think this is going to be a really good uh, game for the reps of the backups, because we went over the backups that we have. It'll be important to see what they can do and get some of those reps in. I'm looking at you, Sterling. Get Uso some reps in there. I can't believe I'm even saying that.
That's wild, dude. That's wild.
Can't believe I'm saying that. But it's going to be nice to see, Giddens. Yeah, Giddens, they're not going to be able to touch Giddens, but it'd be cool to have Giddens put it, get some reps in for him, pull him off, let some other running backs get in there. Because what we don't want like a dumb injury to happen. This is like the worst thing that you could ever have happen in the beginning of the season, is just have some dumb injury happen that could have been prevented by overworking your starters when you don't need to. So it's going to be a fun game. I can't wait. I know that K-State, the people that are bleeding purple right now, are going crazy. They're starved for content. They're starved for football. I'm just super pumped, and I can't wait to watch this game. I'm not going to be able to be there because I wasn't able to get any tickets, but I will be enjoying the game definitely at my house, and I'll be cheering the Cats on my couch, cheering the Cats on from my couch.
From on the projector right downstairs.
Yep, I'll have it on the projector screen.
There you go.
Projecting it on the big old wall there.
I want to touch on something else here too as we're looking at these stats. I don't know how many passing yards that our guy Avery Johnson's going to have, but I mean, they were 112th against a pass, and that was against FCS teams last year. It might be crazy to say, but I think he could have 300 passing yards, and we'll get into the hot takes in a little bit. I don't feel like they're going to run him that much in this game because you don't want him to get him hurt, like you said. Considering how bad they are against the pass, I wouldn't be surprised.
I do think, however, Avery's going to play the whole game. I think you want to have Avery play the majority of the game at least. I mean, this is a great opportunity for him to show that he can actually manage the offense. And, you don't need him to run 200 yards for the game. You don't need him to go crazy. You can just have him hand it off and do some like shuffle passes here and there. But you don't need to he doesn't need to go balls to the walls on the first game. But I do think he's going to be playing the majority of the game and be that leader, because this is his first year of taking in the reins and taking the team on his back and really being the manager of this offense. And so he's got to be able to have that rapport with not just the starters, but the backups as well, because anything can happen in the season, and you want to be able to have that chemistry with the whole team. And I'm not saying he hasn't already built that up. I'm just saying when it comes game time, you want to be able to have that voice in the huddle, always be consistent. I think it just makes for a better offense when you've got one voice that's always consistent, unless it's just a complete blowout where we're like 50, 60 points ahead and we can pull them out, but I would say for the vast majority of the game, you want to have them in there, at least, to just keep that familiar feel of having his voice be in the huddle at the whole time. So.
Here's what I'm going to say to that. I don't think he's going to play the whole game. I wouldn't be surprised if he played 3/4. I do think they want to get in a backup in there just in case Avery ever does get hurt. They want a backup in there with some game time reps with the starting offensive linemen and receivers. It just depends on the score, man. We'll give our score predictions in a little bit, but I do think K-State's going to rotate plenty of guys because this is really the only game that they have in their schedule where they're like, well, we can play everyone. You know what I mean? Get them some reps because
that's true.
Because the next game, it's an away game at Tulane, and then you're at home against Arizona, and then boom, you're right into Big 12 play. Like K-State's got a pretty difficult schedule.
Yeah.
After
I
this
guess
game, so this is the
that
one
makes
game
sense.
you want to play everyone. So
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I'm just I really wanted to emphasize like this is Avery Johnson's first. I mean, you could say the NC game was technically his first, but this is like his first year where he's got the team, like it's his team basically.
right.
And so just having him be sort of like the undisputed leader throughout the whole game is kind of where I'm going with that. But I get what you're saying. You do want to at least get some reps of a backup in there so that he's also familiar with some gameplay. So I definitely agree with that too.
I think it's time to get into our K-State versus UT Martin game score predictions and our hot
All right.
takes.
Okay.
K-State is favored by 37.5 points. K-State, I've looked these numbers up. Outside of the COVID year, Chris Kleiman has won his games by 17, 34, 35, and 45, I believe are the numbers for his previous years. So he doesn't typically win by a ton of points in that first game. So for me personally, it's going to be hard for me to see them covering the spread. Having said that, K-State is one of the best teams against the spread. So I'm going to give my score prediction first, and I'm going to give my hot takes, and then we'll go to you. I have K-State winning this game 52-14, which is 38 points, covering the spread by a half a point. My hot take is that Avery Johnson is going to have 300 plus passing yards and 5 total touchdowns. On defense, K-State's going to force 4 turnovers, with 3 of them being interceptions as the other team is trying to come back passing the ball. K-State's going to have 3 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery. That is my hot take and my score prediction. Kenny, what do you got?
Man, you kind of took away my score prediction a little bit, but I'll do a quick edit on it. I'm gonna say that K-State gets over 40. I was gonna say the over 50, but the 5-0. But I'm not gonna go with 5-0 on this. I'm gonna go with 45. And I'll say the same score that they give up is 14. And then I'll say for my hot take, I think Giddens is going to start us off with a touchdown. I think he's going to lead off with an easy, we'll say like 40-yard rushing touchdown. We'll just say that's a pretty good hot take, right? To kick off the season, we you throw some passes here and there, and then we just hand it off to Giddens, and he just gets a wide open hole, gets a touchdown to kick off the year of K-State. We always said this before, that whenever teams gave us the ball first, that was a bad idea. So I think if we do get the ball first, Giddens will make the first touchdown of the game. So we'll say that. And defensively, I'm going to say that we will hold them to a 0-point game until the second half, when we start bringing in our backups. So they will score 14, but it'll be basically on our C team. So
I love it, dude. We should have talked about that. Who's going to score the first touchdown? You have DJ Giddens.
That's right.
I'm going to go with Avery Johnson pass to Jace Brown.
Yeah.
Has to be the roommates, man.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about that, but historically, K-State loves the run game. Now, I did say that let's just say this. They kick it off to us. We get the ball. Maybe we get it to like the 37. Okay. 37, 38-yard line. I think Avery's going to come out. They're going to throw the ball right off the bat. They're going to toss it to Jace, big play. And then Jace is going to go down at like their 40. And then I think that's when Giddens will take the ball and run it in. So that's just how I see it.
I dig it.
But I'm cool with Jace just taking the ball all the way down on the first play of the game. That would be wild. It would be so hype, and it would give us something to really rage about on the next episode of the Purple Pod.
Yes, sir.
Just coming out and smacking him in the face first play of the game. That'd be
Hopefully
so crazy.
hopefully everyone keeps watching all of our episodes and
Yeah.
videos. So
Yeah, I really want. I mean, I shout out to the fans. We appreciate you guys like commenting and continuing to watch our stuff. We love K State, and we're excited for the new teams to come in. For the fans of those teams, welcome, and you're welcome to put your hot takes and disagree. Obviously, with what we say, you have to understand you're in purple territory out here. So, no offense, but we're homers out here. But we love watching K-State football, and we will give props where props are due.
yes, sir.
We have no issues with that. We just we'll call it just like any other fan, like if it's BS or whatever, and like even though it could go either way. It's just the way it's just the fan base. It's just the way that things go. But we do appreciate you guys watching. And we hope that you stick with us for the whole season, all the way to the Big 12 championship game when K-State wins. We really hope you stick with
Who
us.
are we going to beat? Who are we beating? Is it Utah? Is
Doesn't
it Arizona?
matter.
Is it Oklahoma State? Is it KU?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I don't think it even matters.
I love it.
This is what I'm talking about. This is the K-State fan base talking in me, but it doesn't matter. But I do believe I'm going to give credit. Utah fans, you guys are going to make it to the Big 12 championship in your first year as a Big 12 team.
I don't think so.
Really?
I do not think so. I think they're going to typically the team that's picked to win does not win. I think
I didn't say they were going to win. I said they would make it there.
Sure, but they're picked to win by a lot of people. I think they're going to have some injury issues. I don't know why. I'm just feeling it. I have K-State beating Oklahoma State in a rematch in Dallas.
Wow. How crazy would I'll just throw this out there. How crazy would it be to have an all Kansas Big 12 championship game?
They don't want that smoke again, man. They won't want it twice. I'll promise you that. They won't want it twice.
I'm just saying it would be so hype for the state of Kansas to have Big 12 championship game for football. And, again, as much as I absolutely hate KU, basketball is their strong suit, and it just would put Kansas on the map. That's all I'm saying. It would just put
the Sunflower Showdown Part 2, huh?
That's what I'm saying. It would just be one of those things where, like, as a player that's from other parts of the country, looking at what colleges to go to, you see the state, it's in the middle of the country, little unknown, like don't know what's going on there, but they just happen to be making it to the championship games. I'm just saying.
Right. I love it. Well, I'm excited for it.
Absolutely.
We are going to now talk about our Big 12 picks for this weekend. There are so many teams in this conference. We are going to pick every game, but we're only going to give scores for 5 of them.
Right. It would just be too long of a video if we just broke that down. And then once we get to the Big 12 games, it makes it a lot easier. It's only 8 games we got to go over. So, but we will at least be charitable. This is us being charitable to the rest of the league. We want to give you fans our opinions on what we think is going to happen.
Yeah. So stick your hand out here, Big 12 fans. We're going to give you all of our score predictions. God has given us the script for this season. Unfortunately, if you're not a K-State fan, it's not good for you. K-State fans, it is great for us. And we're going to start off this weekend with our picks for K-State, Big 12 games, all of that. Week 1.
We have received divine revelation from God.
Yes.
Has been handed us the script for the 2024-2025 season. And K-State fans have a breath of relief, a sigh of relief, knowing that the season's going to be in favor of us. For everyone else, you're going to be a little anxious the rest of the season. It's just, I'm not going to reveal the whole script. Legally, I don't think I can, but I'm just going to hold this close to my chest. Just know that we have the script. It's been given to us. We're going to each week we'll tell you what happens.
We will reveal what happens. Starting with week 1, let's get our Big 12 picks for this weekend. Like we said earlier, we're only going to give scores for 5 games. We will talk about every game. On Thursday, UCF gets a starter at home against New Hampshire. That's a UCF Golden Knights win.
Oh yeah.
KU at home on Thursday as well against Lindenwood. That's another Big 12 win for KU. They're going to be playing at, I think it's Sporting KC's home park, Children's Mercy Park, 20,000 seats. They're favored by 45 points. That's a win. This is the first game on the schedule that we're going to give our picks for. Colorado hosting North Dakota State. Bison. The Bison are known as giant killers. They've beaten a bunch of D1 teams, including K-State, back when they had Chris Kleiman. They've beat Iowa. They've beat Iowa State. They've beaten a bunch of teams. Colorado is favored by 10 points. The over-under is 60.5.
Didn't they just win, or was that South Dakota State that won?
It has to be South Dakota State because North Dakota State has not played yet. So
no. I mean, I meant like the championship last year for their division.
It was South Dakota State. Yeah, North Dakota State's run is over. Yeah. I do think Colorado is going to win this game. I do not think they're going to win by 10 or more. I do think it's going to be under 60.5. So on this spread, I'm going to take North Dakota State, but I'm going to have Colorado to win still, but not cover the points or the spread. I got Colorado winning 30-27.
I got North Dakota with the upset here.
I love it.
Yeah. And maybe this is just because I think Sanders is a little cocky in his ability to coach. He came in last year thinking that he was going to turn some heads, and he really didn't do that well. It's gonna be a humbling experience for the Colorado team when North Dakota comes in and shakes them down. So, and they want this win. I mean, make no mistake, they really want this win. So I'm going to say that North Dakota does. I think they exceed the spread. I think it's going to be more like a 35-30 kind of game. North Dakota.
Yeah,
wins.
Colorado's defense has never been very good. So
no,
I could see that too. I was right around the over-under anyway, so I could definitely see that. So that's the first game we're picking. I like it. Mm-hmm. God's given us a script, and the script says to not agree on everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's on Thursday as well. Also on Thursday, Utah is going to beat Southern Utah by a lot. They're favored by 38. That's a dub. We're both picking that.
Yeah.
Friday, we got a little Big 12 ACC football.
Very interesting, right? Very interesting.
Very interesting. TCU is at Stanford, favored by 9 points still. Over under 59.5.
I don't think TCU's got this game, man.
I don't have them winning this game either. I don't. What's your score?
I'm gonna say that Stanford pulls like, I want to say that they do like a 27, TCU like 14. I'm not confident in their offense anymore. Like I really, as soon as they lost that offense that took them to the championship game, they just haven't been the same. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say that Stanford wins. I'll give them 33. I'll give them 33. TCU 14. We'll do that.
That's like a 3 touchdown win almost. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I have Stanford winning, not by that much. I think it's going to be a 27-24 game. Very close game. Mm-hmm. Not hitting the over, but Stanford winning outright. I mean, I always love a home underdog, man, and I think the Cardinal, those smart people over there at Stanford is going to win this game.
I'm really sorry, TCU fans, but I mean, you have to be honest with yourself. You haven't been the same since.
I mean, they really haven't been the same since they beat Michigan in the Fiesta Bowl. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Since then, they lost 65-7. They lost at home against a bad Colorado team. I mean, it's not good if you're a TCU fan, and it's not going to get better week one, in our opinion. So let's move on. Probably the biggest game in the Big 12 this weekend. College game day is going to be there. We got Penn
Dude, there's
State.
some spicy games, man.
I know, dude. We got
There are some spicy games this week.
Penn State at West Virginia, 11 o'clock on Fox. Penn State, as the road team, is favored by 8 points, over under 51.5.
Oh, dude, they got to be more than that.
So here's what I'm going to say. Everyone's high in West Virginia to win the Big 12 this year, like as a sleeper pick.
I don't know why.
And
no offense, West Virginia, but why?
The sexy pick here is to have West Virginia win this game. I don't see it, dude. Like, whenever everyone's picking one way, it's usually going to happen the other way. I got Penn State winning this game by a lot. It's going to be...
Yeah, this is going to be a smackdown. Are you kidding me?
38 to like 10. 38 to 10.
It's going to be... I'll give the benefit of the doubt that West Virginia might pull off some more points. I'll say maybe 20. But Penn State is going to have like plus 40 points. Like the white helmets, man, it's a curse. Like they're insane. Penn State's going to be coming out swinging, man. Oh man, I don't know. How can you say 8 points? Oh man, no way. Nope, I don't see it. I think Penn State's going to smack them down. It's going to be like a 3-touchdown, 4-touchdown maybe spread.
So what's your score?
I'll say 42-21. We'll say that.
42-21. So we both have them winning by at least 3 scores.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then this next one, dude. This next game, hype.
Well, I mean, it wasn't on there, but we're going to add it because South Dakota State is the reigning FCS champion.
That's right.
They won last year against North Dakota State. They beat them 45-21. They're playing at Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's ranked in the top 25. Bunch of hype around Oklahoma State. I think they were ranked 3rd in the preseason media poll. Oklahoma State's favored by 9.5, over under 53.5.
But
what's your score prediction?
But you know that like this is such a typical Mike Gundy thing to happen though, is when like his team is ranked really high. He's got Ollie Gordon. He's got all these like huge players and pieces that can just like take over a game. But like for whatever reason, Mike Gundy's team always ends up being like a team that just ends up throwing these games that they should easily win. Not easily. I mean, South Dakota State, like you said, they're reigning champions right now. So I'll say Oklahoma State wins. However, South Dakota State is not going to make it easy for them. And I think it's going to be 27-24. They're going to win by a field goal.
So you have just under the spread overall, but Oklahoma State not covering. I have the same thing, almost. I have Oklahoma State also winning by 3, 31-28, just under the spread as well. If I can do my math. No, that's over. It's over. Oklahoma State winning, but not covering the spread. Winning by 3 and game-winning field goal.
And here's what I'll say. If South Dakota State comes out and just it's not going to be surprising to me, or I won't be shocked as like it won't be like such a huge upset for me if Oklahoma State loses this game, because they've shown in the past that they can lose these games, but then like later on in the season they end up like turning up for some reason,
just like last year. Last year.
Exactly. Yeah. Who did they lose to early on last year? It was an embarrassing
South
game.
Alabama. Was it South Alabama?
South Alabama. Wow. Like, no offense to that team, but they went to the Big 12 championship and they lost to South Alabama. It's unbelievable.
They didn't just lose to South Alabama.
They got embarrassed.
It was 33-7.
Yeah.
They got embarrassed.
I think South Dakota State is a much better team than South Alabama.
I'm not saying they're not going to win, because we both have Oklahoma State winning by a field goal. We both very much could see South Dakota State winning this game.
It's all about who shows up, and it's all about like who wants it on that day. And the thing is that, oh, well, you know, they've got Ollie Gordon's a junior, right? And he's like, oh, well, Ollie Gordon's a junior. Well, he was a sophomore last year, and he was the leading rusher for the Big 12. And it's like he was on that team also last year, and they didn't do that. They didn't do that in the game against South Alabama. So anything, in my opinion, I still think they get the win because I have a lot of respect for Oklahoma State after they beat K-State. I have to give respect is due. But I am not, like I said, what we both agree on. I am not going to be shocked, like, oh, what a huge upset if South Dakota comes out and beats them. It's a total Mike Gundy thing to have happen in his football team. It's just the way it is. This is how I feel. So
we are on the same wavelength, man. We really are.
Good. Well, I mean, we have the script, so I mean,
we have the script. Cincinnati's 31.5 point favorite. They're going to beat the crap out of Towson.
Yeah.
Iowa State is going to beat the crap out of North Dakota. They're favored by 4 touchdowns. We already gave our pick. We're going to say it again. I have K-State winning 52-14. Yours was 45-14.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like a touchdown less.
Yeah, so check out our other video or earlier in the pod when we talked about that.
It's interesting that they don't give the spread there.
Yeah, so I think it's because it's been locked. Like you can't bet on it anymore. K-State's favored by too much. So
yeah, well, you did say 37, so
37.5 is a lot. Baylor at home against Tarleton State, basically 4 touchdown favorites. Baylor is winning this game.
Well, hold on. I mean, Baylor is not the same Baylor that we're used to talking about in years past. They're arguably one of the worst Big 12 teams in the league this year. We'll have to see. I do have them winning, but that 26 points is, I mean, maybe. We'll see. I don't know what their recruiting has been like. I don't know what kind of team they're working with this year. But man, the team that they had last year was embarrassing. They should be embarrassed for how they played last year.
And Tarleton State went 8-3 last year. So we'll see what happens, man. I could see an upset. I could see it.
Is that a 1 next to their name already? They've already got a win?
Yeah, they do.
Oh man. I don't know.
The next game is the last game we're picking this weekend. And it's really a game between 2 not very good programs and teams right now. But
as far as football goes, yeah.
The spread is just too low to not pick it. You get Houston at home against UNLV. Big 12 team here is favored by basically 3 points, which means that's what they give every home team. So it's basically a toss-up, over under 54.5. I think I got to go Houston here. And I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think both teams kind of suck on defense. I got Houston winning, covering a 2.5 point spread. 38-35. It's covering the spread and the over-under.
Yeah. Is that all you had there?
That's all I have, 38-35. And that's covering the spread and the over-under.
Here's what I'll say about Houston. They got a massive pickup in their coaching staff. Willie Fritz is a winner. He just is. Everywhere he goes, he wins. So I have high hopes for this Houston team. What they had last year with I can't think of his name right now. Well, the coach that they had last year, it just wasn't working. It just wasn't it. And but their pickup of Willie Fritz,
Dana, wasn't it? It was Dana, wasn't it?
Yeah, Dana Holgerson.
Yeah.
That's right. He wasn't it. I mean, that was not. He had some good history in the past, but Willie Fritz, I want to leave hope for him with this team. I don't know what their recruiting season was like. I don't know who they picked up. I'm not really paying attention that closely to other teams in the Big 12. It's hard enough to keep up with one, especially with all the stuff that life throws at you. But I'll say this, Houston, I agree with you about their offense, and I agree with you about their defense. I don't know anything about UNLV. I don't even watch anything that
they're bad. Football. They're really bad.
So I'll just take your word for it on that. But I'll say this. I think Houston is going to be a surprise. A coaching staff really can change a lot. And I think people underplay the value of having a good head coach. I mean, you see what happened with K State when we brought Bill back. It's like head coaches make a difference. And it's something that I hold a lot of value for, because if you don't have good leadership, it kind of all starts to fall apart. It doesn't matter how good your talent is. You have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have good leadership and uh, a good system to work around, then the talent doesn't even matter. And vice versa, if you have you know pieces on your team that aren't necessarily extremely talented, but you've got a really cohesive unit and good and great leadership, then you can be greater than the sum of your parts. So I'm leaving hope for Houston. It's good that Willie got the promotion to a Big 12 team. We'll have to see. I think all that being said, I think Houston's going to win by 2 touchdowns. I'll give them a 14-point spread. In terms of like points wise, I'll say like 40 to like 20 or something like that.
Okay, so we both have them covering the spread and covering over under as well, just in different ways. So
Yeah.
I dig it.
Yeah.
I dig it. The rest of these, I think we pretty much agree on. Texas Tech's going to blast Abilene Christian. I don't see why BYU is only favored by 14.5 against Southern Illinois. Southern Illinois wasn't even that good last year. They were 8-5 in FCS. And I know BYU wasn't that great, but they got better throughout the year. They almost beat Oklahoma. They almost beat Oklahoma State. I mean, they really got better throughout the year, and it could be a surprise, upset pick this year.
Don't sleep on this team. BYU is not a team to sleep on. They're not amazing. They're not like so super scary, but they're a team. You can't just like they are going to be the one team. I think they're going to be the team that most teams are going to overlook, and that's going to be their downfall. So it really is going to come down to coaching staffs instilling some discipline in their team to not overlook this BYU team. That's how I feel. A lot of teams are going to look at this like, oh, BYU, they're not even that great. Just be careful with that, because that's the kind of it's like them. And I think like a Texas Tech are like teams that if you get your eye off the ball for just a second, then they're going to come in and just take you out. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Arizona is going to destroy New Mexico.
Yeah.
This would be the only other game we could talk about. Wyoming beats Texas Tech last year. Arizona State's god awful. I think they're picked last in the Big 12.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, this is
too bad. Another pair of two bad teams. I'm gonna stick with Arizona State winning this game, but it's gonna be close. I don't see them winning by 6.5. I think they'll win by like 2 or 3 points.
I think Arizona's got some fight in them. I watched some of their games last year, just because they were on, super late, and after watching the K-State game, I had nothing else better to do, so I would just watch whatever game was on, and Arizona was playing, and there was a couple games where they were like in there. They were going to win the game, but they kind of threw it away at the end, and so against a bad team, who knows? But again, Arizona State, all these new teams coming in, they're going to want to prove that they deserve to be
absolutely
in the big boy football league. And so just like all the other teams that came in from last year, they're going to want to make a statement. I think the only formidable team was UCF, and even then they had a 500 season. So this is going to be you can't just expect these, when you come into Big 12, like, oh, this is an easy league, because it ain't. It's not easy league.
We fill our stadiums. We fill our stadiums in this league.
Exactly. We don't leave our stadium halfway through the game, UCF. I know you're still hurting
Dude,
about that.
that was so wild. They left halfway
Against,
through and they blew
against the Baylor.
it was a 28-point lead or something crazy
Yeah,
like that. It was insane.
against the Baylor team. That was unbelievable.
So what do you got? I got Arizona State winning but not covering.
Oh man, this is hard for me. I don't know. I think it's because they choke so much. And I don't know why that is. I have them winning. I think it's a little bit closer, like you said. Um, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. What does the script say, Steve?
Script says Arizona State by 3 in a low scoring game, 20-17.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see it. I can see it. It's just, it's no offense to Arizona fans. If you're watching Arizona State, you got a cool helmet. You know, the Trident is
They got a cool
legit.
stadium too, honestly.
Yeah, it's a cool
And it's a
stadium.
party school as well. So
Yeah, Arizona State. I dig it, but for whatever reason, I don't know why, but every time I watch your games, it's like you guys just like, you were there and you just couldn't clutch it out. And I know it doesn't come out to like the last play of the game or last few plays of the game. So it's throughout the whole game that things happen, but it always seemed like they were going to claw their way back, and they were there to make the move, and it didn't work. And they ended up fumbling the ball or dropping the ball or whatever. So, but I still think they're going to win this game, but it's going to be a tough road for Arizona State. So we'll see.
shout out to any fans that go to that game in 100-degree weather right there, dude. That's crazy.
My God. And where's
like
that at? It's at Arizona. Oh my gosh.
So it's going to be like 8:30 at night there in 100 degrees, which is crazy because over in Tucson it'll be 90 at 8:30 at night.
Here's the difference though. Here's the difference though. You're dealing with dry heat, Stevie B. It's a little different than humid. Like when you get to humid heat, where you just go outside and you're drenched in sweat for no reason, like it's a little different.
Yep.
That dry heat hits a little different.
Those picks are Big 12 picks for the first week of college football.
I know that was a lot. And thank you guys for sticking with us on that, because
that was a long. That was 16 games to talk about. That was a lot. Yes, I did know that Arizona State was the opponent. They walloped Bill Snyder and K-State in that game. I did already know that. Yes, I did. I've seen the what's a documentary that's on YouTube. They need to do a part 2 and part 3, honestly. But I know that it costs a lot. So, dude,
the Sun Devils.
The Sun Devils beat K-State. I mean, it was like 31-7 or something. Miracle in Manhattan. That's what it's called. Do yourself a favor whenever you're at work and you have some time where you're waiting to do something, or after work or whatever. Watch it. It's on YouTube. So
interesting. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that.
Oh, it's so good. It's like it's about an hour long.
It was
really
probably good. Was it before my time? Was it like in the 90s or something?
It's about the 90s teams. No, it came out like the last 5-10 years.
Yeah, well, I wasn't even in Kansas in the 90s, so that makes
a
lot of sense.
You need to watch it. I'll try to send it to you.
So, all right.
That is the first season, I guess episode number 2, but the first game preview episode of the Purple Pod. I mean, we did it, man. We made it in an hour, bro. Like that's. I didn't think we'd get there when we were like halfway, and we already.
I mean, listen, Steve, we're pros. We're this is an amateur hour. You know, this isn't our first rodeo, as they say.
It's not, and we've had fun. Our first episode of the Purple Pod dropped. It's almost at 500 views, which is a lot more than a lot of our other videos. And Kenny's he's going wild. We have our first practice tomorrow. I need to go message all the parents about that. I'm excited. Hopefully we can get our key to get in.
You got to get your dang form signed.
I'm going to do that as soon as we get off here. But I had a great time, Kenny. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here?
Well, this episode was brought to you by Head and Shoulders. Avery Johnson's hair is such a glorious thing, and one can only assume that he uses a great shampoo hair product. And I hope that one day, we're talking about documentaries, I just hope one day we can have a documentary going over Avery Johnson's day-to-day hair care. It's just such a beautiful thing to see. So Thank you for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Got to get him on Team Mahomes and Troy Polamalu. So
Everybody talks about like Trevor Lawrence's hair. Have you seen Avery Johnson's hair?
we've seen Avery's hair. The God. God sent him to K-State to do one thing, and that's win football games.
And to show and just have these amazing locks of hair.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's episode 2 of the Purple Pod. Make sure you guys like, subscribe. Like I said, we're really close to 300 subscribers, but I'm Stevie B.
Kenny G.
And go Cats, baby.
Go Cats!
Yeah, I'm eating purple. I'm eating purple. I'm eating purple. Never been a wild cat. I'm eating purple. Never been a wild